Hey guys, welcome back to the New Tennis Era podcast. My name's Anthony Hirsch. Today I'm going to be talking about two different ATP finals that went down in the last week. I'm going to be talking about the Buenos Aires final between Fonseca and Francisco Cerundolo, and also talking about the Delray Beach Open final between Alejandro Davidovich Fokina and also Miomir Kecmanovic. Please don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel, and please don't forget to like the video as well. So, I'm going to start with the final in Buenos Aires, where Joao Fonseca, at 18 years old, wins his first ATP title, becomes the first man born in 2006 and later to win an ATP title, and he compiles together a very, very impressive week, which included some match point saves as well. Not in the final, but in the semis. Already 68th in the world, which is amazing for an 18-year-old. He's not even halfway through being 18 years old. He was in the 600s in the rankings 1 year ago. I'm going to break down the match and talk about what all happened in it, but I just want to congratulate Joao Fonseca and also Brazilian tennis fans everywhere, because this guy seems like he's primed to be the next superstar. After winning the tournament, I loved that he said that although he of course dreams about winning slams and being number one, he's already winning it. He's already living out his dream, which is to be a pro tennis player, which is a great mindset, that he has that passion. He becomes one of the youngest ATP title champions ever, and all of the players around him in that list, all the 7 players around him have been at least top 4 in the world. Most of them are, goats like Sampras and Rafa, and also Roger is on the list somewhere. So very, very impressive list to get onto for Fonseca, and he played a very good match in a very good tournament. Some tremendous ball striking from the back of the court from Fonseca. He was also strong on the first serve. He had a good first serve points won. I felt like, honestly, too many unforced errors from Cerundolo, especially off his forehand side, but he definitely didn't like going forehand to forehand with Fonseca. Fonseca's forehand is a ferocious weapon. It's crazy. He has a live arm, this kid, Fonseca. Like, he will crush a forehand so hard, harder than anybody else, out of nowhere. It's really amazing. And it's also the angles that he was able to get off his shots, which I felt like Cerundolo's movement wasn't quite there to really, his movement wasn't really there to get some of Fonseca's angles, which is why I think one big reason as to why Fonseca was able to win in 2 sets. Another big stat is that Fonseca won 47% of return points, part to do with 47% of first serve return points. So Cerundolo only won 53% of first serve points. That's just about half. Not good enough. It's part to do with Fonseca's great returning. It's part to do with Cerundolo not really having a very strong first serve at all. Fonseca able to get a lot of opportunity right from the first strike. Also, I will say, like I said, just too many errors and gifts from Cerundolo. And also, I want to mention the mental side. I feel like the mental side defined this match just as much as anything else. When I talk about key points in the match, I'll go into the weeds and depths of it. But I loved the calm body language and calm nature that Fonseca had throughout this match. I mean, he was playing a home crowd favorite who had just beaten the world number 2 Sasha Zverev. But amazingly, right from literally the first point, where after Fonseca won the first point, he gave a fist pump. Right from the first point, Fonseca had much better and more positive body language than Francisco Cerundolo. Much better right from the jump. So the confidence was there, even though he was playing a player who had been in this position before, Fonseca in his first time, and just tremendously calm in the crowd atmosphere. When the crowd was being loud, he just served right through it, which is what you want to do. You want to take whatever's in your control, you want to keep going with that. It's not going to be perfect, but you just want to, if you have the mental strength to kind of play through it, And Fonseca clearly does, which he was able to do. And also, I feel like Cerundolo, I don't know. Fonseca was mostly able to still stay on his forehand side, where he likes to dictate more. But off backhand, he wasn't doing too bad either. Cerundolo has a good backhand. He's very impressive in his cross-court backhand to backhand. He can get a good angle off that shot pretty easily, even from pretty difficult positions. And I feel like Cerundolo should have been able to do more in this matchup, honestly. The errors really got to him. Also, the first serve was just not there for Cerundolo. And too many gifts altogether, which I'll get into. But he just didn't have enough for finishing shots, especially because his forehand was compiling quite a few errors, Cerundolo. So, like I said, lacking in movement for Fonseca's angles. So Fonseca was hitting with pace and also hitting good angles off the court. I feel like the second of which is just as important, if not more important than the pace of shot. And yeah, I think rallying backhand to backhand, if Cerundolo had more options for how to finish off points, I feel like he definitely, this could have been a very different match. Because he was doing okay rallying backhand to backhand and keeping it away from Fonseca's forehand, but then he just didn't know really how to go from there, and Fonseca was being pretty consistent in those rallies as well. So consistent backhand, and Fonseca had a consistent backhand, and he had a killer forehand. I mean, he was able to, like Sinner, just constant pace generation and stepping up into the court. People talk about athleticism with defense, but it's just as important, if not more important, sometimes for offense. Being able to have the leg strength, to have the athleticism, and being able to stretch out and still be on the front foot and stay moving forward in the court, very important. And Fonseca's athleticism doing so is very Sinner-esque, and he's able to still control the tempo of the points and stay dictating, especially off the forehand. And that was a very big key here as well, and Cerundolo just wasn't confident. From the get-go, the body language and the confidence from Cerundolo is clearly not there, and I mean, yeah, this kid is playing incredible. He's playing incredible, so I wouldn't doubt, even though Cerundolo just beat Sasha Zverev, I wouldn't doubt that this new kid on the block, his forehand, kind of scared Cerundolo a bit, just playing him for the first time. And Cerundolo is like, man, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I have the forehand to match up with this kid forehand. So I think that's part of what we saw. And now I'm going to go over key points in the match as well and talk about specifically what we saw, and then I'll move on to the Delray Beach Open final later as well. So starting with the beginning of the first set, we're going into the 3-3 game, 3-all. In this game, where Fonseca broke Cerundolo for the second time. The first time, Cerundolo broke right back. Forehands from Cerundolo just began going wayward. Like I said earlier, I think, or like I kind of hinted at earlier, he's not so comfortable going down the line with the forehand. And I feel like he was pushing his forehand early, pushing and going for too much, because he didn't want to build out more rallies with Fonseca going cross court to Fonseca's ferocious forehand. That ferocious forehand of Fonseca just scaring Cerundolo. I feel like he was pushing to go for the aggressive shot too early, and I just don't think he was comfortable with that down the line, and we saw some wayward forehands in this 3-all game. And also, he then hit just like a horrific swinging volley. He was in a on-break point to lose the game. Horrific shot. It should have been a winner all day. He hit the net and then it floated wide. I think that he became very impatient, Cerundolo, here in this moment. I think it honestly, this is why I look at the body language, right? That's what I was saying with body language. Just Fonseca kind of negative, and not really confident. He should have had the confidence to just say, okay, well, I don't have to go for too much. I can just kind of finish the point here, but he's just impatient and just absolutely smashes it into the net and it goes wide. Tennis is such a mental game, and I've said this before, especially at the top. And I feel like mentally, Fonseca was able to take the upper hand early on, even breaking in the first game, but then breaking again to lead 4-3. In this break, he would keep too many gifts from Cerundolo, including that forehand swinging volley, just not being able to be consistent when being aggressive off his forehand, whether it's a swinging volley or from the backcourt. And just unforced errors also from Cerundolo when he had a chance at a deuce game at 4-3. This was crucial. So just too many gifts. And also throughout this first set, we see that Fonseca able to hit some really impressive angles right from the jump, which I think should be talked about just as much as the pace, or maybe not just as much, but along with the pace of shot. He is a very talented kid, and he's able to hit some very impressive angles. And Cerundolo was just not able to be fast enough really to track down some of the angles and be aggressive. And like I said, Fonseca staying on the front foot. And then we go into the second set. It felt like Cerundolo was able to start gaining some momentum actually at the start of the second set. He hit this absolutely massive Fonseca-like, or Cerundolo-like. Cerundolo has some big forehands, but he was able to hit this huge forehand winner to get out of a very tough first game. And then he got to love 15 or love 30, I think love 15 at 2-1. And Fonseca had a very clutch play where after being down, he implements a great drop shot, very good Alcaraz-like drop shot, some great touch. Then some big serves, just no hesitation, down the tee, out wide, wherever you like. Serving well, serving much better than Cerundolo. And just like that, 30 seconds later, Fonseca found his way out of the game. Just very clutch and calm. And then 5-4. Fonseca serving for his first ATP title, gets the 30-all, and he gets broken. The crowd is loud, and Fonseca starts the game with a few quick, pretty poor unforced errors, clearly nervous, which makes sense. Really the first sign of nerves that we've seen from the Brazilian. And then there's a bad bounce at 30-all after he fights his way from love 30 to 30-all. There's a bad bounce, and Fonseca misses a shot. And then Cerundolo plays a pretty good rally. And once again, the crowd is very loud. But Cerundolo plays a pretty good rally. And just like that, Fonseca's backhand goes a little bit wayward, because Cerundolo is doing pretty well on backhand to backhand. And throughout this game, he has some really good returns and backhand cross-court angles, placing the ball well, and making it tricky for Fonseca because he's getting caught and not being able to hit a forehand or forehand +1, which was working for him so well throughout this match. So some good first strike from Cerundolo to keep it away from Fonseca's forehand. But yeah, and then just like that, with the good backhand angles from Cerundolo, just a bad bounce and a wayward backhand, and suddenly we're back at 5-5, and the crowd is getting into it, but Fonseca doesn't look troubled at all. Fonseca rebounds well, somehow calm after being 2 points away from his first title and getting broken versus a guy who just beat Sasha Zverev. Any other 18-year-old in the world, I should say, would have been nervous, not Joao Fonseca. But once again, at 6-5, a little bit nervy, not quite as... The unforced errors he hit to start this game weren't as poor as in the 5-4 game, but still clearly a little bit nervous. But also, I will say that Cerundolo is playing his highest level of the match and is doing awesome breaking down Fonseca's backhand and staying in control, keeping it away from Fonseca's forehand. And also Fonseca not enough first serves in this 6-5 game. Just not enough first serves in this 6-5 game. But also Cerundolo playing his best level and doing a really good job of staying on the front foot and keeping it away from Fonseca's forehand, which is, if you notice, kind of a reversal of everything that we've seen in the match so far, but Cerundolo is able to do it, and that's why I said I feel like Cerundolo should have done better in this matchup. His best level was starting to show towards the end of the match as he was able to stay on the front foot and rally well cross-court and get some, errors out of Fonseca, stay on that front foot and stay in control. But yeah, then it just all fell apart for Cerundolo, who lost a breadstick in the tiebreaker as Fonseca won his first title. Really, what happened was the first point was absolutely crucial. He starts the tiebreaker off super poor, Cerundolo. He has all the momentum in the world. The first point in the tiebreaker could very well be the most important point in the match. Who knows what, I just think, who knows what would have happened if Cerundolo kept his momentum. But what he did was he backed off and he let Fonseca dictate now on the forehand. Fonseca able to consistently get it deeper off the forehand, at least in this match, than Cerundolo. And he goes too far back behind the baseline for no reason, and he nets a forehand. Just pretty neutral forehand, just nets it because he's so far back behind the baseline. Before, what started working well for him was when he was moving forward. Now he's backed up, and it just gets away from Cerundolo for some reason. Fonseca regains his confidence, and he silences a very loud Brazilian crowd with a very loud Argentinian crowd, I should say, with 2 consecutive insane winners, a forehand cross-court and a backhand down the line, both clean winners. Just great resilience from Fonseca. Cerundolo, honestly, just amazingly poor in this tiebreaker. Just very poor tiebreaker from him. Just no confidence compared to the new kid Fonseca, amazingly. Backs off tremendously, lets Fonseca dictate some errors. And yeah, I mean, you also have to give props, though, to Fonseca because he stayed there, he stayed tough, and his very, very strong game and high level was what made Cerundolo be like that. If Fonseca wasn't doing his job on the other side of the net, Cerundolo wouldn't have backed off. So also a fabulous forehand finish from Fonseca as well, with a down the line forehand, a fitting way to end the week. But a resilient week, match point saves, served for the title twice, got it done in a breadstick in the tiebreaker, beats a guy in straight sets who just took out the world number 2. Fantastic week for Joao Fonseca. I hope, for the sake of the sport, that we see more of him. And now I will or that we see him really at the top of the game, is what I mean to say, because we'll definitely see more of him. All right, now I will talk about the Delray Beach Open final. Another ATP final that was going on this week. Miomir Kecmanovic took out Alejandro Davidovich Fokina in what was a very strange match, saving 2 championship points in the third set from down 5-2, 40-15. You just gotta feel sad for Fokina. The mental game has always been a struggle for Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. Otherwise, athletically, physically, talent-wise, pretty much he has so many strengths, very few weaknesses, but the mental game gets in the way, and it does again. I think Fokina is way too talented to have 0 ATP titles, but that's what has to be the reality now. Because, well, first of all, Kecmanovic put together a very solid comeback, but it was Fokina who really fell apart at the end, and we'll get into that. But yeah, the only thing I could think to compare this to, and I thought about it immediately, was Munich final a couple of years ago, where Botic van de Zandschulp had 5-2, 40-15 on Holger Rune, 4 championship points in total, and then lost that lead, and he still has not won an ATP title. There are other players on the tour, like Jan-Lennard Struff, that went a long time without grabbing a title, then eventually they were able to. But then there are other players like Julian Benneteau, who's in 10 finals, never got a title, who, yeah, just still have no titles on the tour. And it's going to be interesting to see where Fokina falls into. He's been a Masters 1000 finalist. I think also like a guy like Krajinovic, I believe, who also was a Masters 1000 finalist. I think he ended up with 0 ATP titles as well. That is correct. So there are a few examples of this, but Fokina's got to be up there as potentially the most talented player ever to not get an ATP title if that ends up being the case. We'll see if it does. But in this match, just talking about this match, yeah, mental game was a very big one, and a big mental match. Kecmanovic overall, just naming some stats here to show the disparity in how well they played the big points. Kecmanovic saved 5 for 7 break points. Fokina saved just 2 for 6. Most of those break points coming in the third set. Also, just more free points on serve for Kecmanovic throughout the match, who had 8 aces to just 1 from Fokina. And in the third set, ADF, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina served just 56% of first serves in to 70% from Kecmanovic. All right, let's get into the first set. So in the first set, Fokina was actually clutch in the first set. So I think there's more than meets the eye in this match, and I'll kind of get into it, particularly when it comes to the mental game. I think I might talk about that more than almost anything else because it was so important in this match. But yeah, Fokina was clutch at the end of the first set. Some big serves, some big forehands, awesome drop shots, some really impressive lobs. The lob of Fokina was really impressive. Crafty play, going for it, dictating, high level. He broke at love. When he was serving for the first set at 5-4, he should have gone down 15-40, but he held it. He held at 30 after about 30 seconds after being behind 15-30. He was in a disadvantageous position at 15-30. He managed this like incredible defensive lob out of nowhere. He escaped that point, and then he had some big serving, and yeah, just clutch. I mean, Fokina just putting all of his energy to get to that 5-2, 40-15 spot, but then once he lost that, wheels fell off. So we'll get into that. Second set, 6-1 breadstick for Kecmanovic, really turning the tables. But Kecmanovic was now the one dictating. Some really deep returns from Kecmanovic, and Fokina unable to handle it. Kecmanovic able to attack ADF returns now. Fokina's returns. That when I say ADF, I mean Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. He was able to attack the Fokina returns, and now Fokina is now backing up, and Kecmanovic able to come in and dictate immediately. His aggressive shots now going in, and speeds to a very quick set victory. Won 2 times in the match that a set completely gets away from Fokina 2 sets in a row, and he loses 5 games in a row. But the third set is completely different. But yeah, so basically in the first set, I mean, it was pretty standard stuff. I mean, I didn't see that much outside of Fokina very high level in the first set, and Kecmanovic unable to be aggressive and step in and take his chances in the second set. Fokina too much started playing defensive, and Kecmanovic kind of, they reversed. Kecmanovic started stepping in and attacking big on the returns, which made the difference. The first strike from Kecmanovic against Fokina's serve really made the difference here, and also Fokina wasn't really, hitting drop shots, lobs, going for big shots all across the board. He wasn't serving as well as he was in the first set. He wasn't serving bad, but Kecmanovic started to play the high level that Fokina was playing at in the first set, so really the roles reversed, and that we get into a third set, and Fokina starts strong. He starts pretty strong. Fokina has a very strong backhand. His backhand has always been pretty impressive, and his backhand is more aggressive. He's taking more chances than Kecmanovic. He holds for 3-1. Right away, Fokina able to be more aggressive. And Kecmanovic even had a break point at 1-1 in the third set. Fokina hits a forehand down the line on this break point. Very important point. Talking over key points of the match, this is a very key point. Fokina hits a forehand down the line. It wasn't even an ideal approach. Kecmanovic could have hit over a backhand, could have hit a kind of topspin backhand going for a pass, but instead he goes for this super defensive, low percentage, weird kind of defensive slice. He actually does a 360 turn after hitting this slice. He doesn't hit a bad shot, but I think he was expecting a more strong forehand from Fokina as he came into the net, and Fokina has the craft, the aggression, at this point the confidence to finish it off with a backhand volley at the net. So basically, mentally, Fokina puts in a lot of energy to get to this point, and Kecmanovic now backs off, really. Backs off from the aggressive kind of first strike he was playing in the second set, or at least when Kecmanovic is really at a high level, he's very streaky, and when he's at a high level, he's at a very high level, but sometimes the wheels fall off, and it can be a bit up and down with Kecmanovic, I feel like. And yeah, I feel like in the second set he was able to sustain a really high level of playing aggressive, but that just wasn't able to sustain. It's not like you can just say, okay, well, I'll keep doing what I was doing in the second set. It's not easy to do what Kecmanovic was doing in the second set and keep up that aggressive strategy and be successful, especially because Fokina was able to adapt to it. And yeah, so basically Fokina putting a lot of energy, starting to play more aggressive, and really, really impressive in the third set to get to 5-2, 40-15. They play a 21-shot rally, insane rally on championship point. Fokina puts in everything he has into this point. And he has some ridiculous gets. I think he started playing too defensive on match point. I still am of the opinion that even though a lot of coaches will tell you to play more defensive when you're down match point, to an extent that's true. But I also feel like when you're up match point, you just have to take the match, especially at such high level. Your opponent is going to be nervous, even at ATP level, but they're not just going to gift you the match, right? Usually they're not just going to gift you the match. You have to take it as well. And Fokina, I felt like, backed off a little bit, and he wasn't being the same kind of aggressive player. He was playing some great defense, and then I feel like he went for the Hollywood finish. He was going for the big finish. He went for a forehand passing shot, and it literally missed by like an inch or less, which is really what kind of decided the match at the end of the day. Hoping to finish it off with just a big shot, but that, unfortunately, that's just not what happened. And I feel like after that point, Kecmanovic was very smart, because he didn't give Fokina any time to kind of rest. He just goes right back to the line to serve, and he wins the next point pretty easily. Fokina looked gassed, out of breath, so it was just unfortunate. I mean, Fokina looked hunched over and gassed even earlier in the set. At 3-2, 15-30, very important point. Fokina up 3-2, but down 15-30 in the game. Fokina has some clutch serving, and I don't know. I feel like he's able to win that long rally, but I feel like he just puts in so much energy, and then he just starts feeling gassed at the end of this third set, unfortunately. But he was less than half an inch from winning the match. So he puts in, he's clutch, he's aggressive, the shots are working, high level, he's putting in so much energy, but then that shot just goes like an inch or less out, and Fokina didn't have to go so big. He was going for the big finish. I feel like Kecmanovic was already moving the other way. Fokina could have done almost anything going the other way. He was in an advantageous position after playing some incredible defense. He didn't have to go that big, and that was just a brain fart from Fokina, and it's not the first time we've seen it, unfortunately. And then also in the next point, a bit of luck also for Kecmanovic, who just tries his luck, kind of just quickly finds his way towards the net, really putting pressure on Fokina in every single way, physically, mentally, giving him no time to breathe or think, and he just puts away this volley. Fortune favors the bold, and that is the defining sentiment of this match. What is the quote there with that's at the Wimbledon wall? The one who can face triumph and disaster and treat both imposters just the same, that's who is often going to win the match. So that's Kecmanovic was able to do that much better. And at 30 all, at 5-3, Fokina just goes too big with another backhand, even though he's in a great position. He's just too impatient. He's just not good enough to rock a backhand winner where he's at, and he hits it miles out. So Fokina just not playing the big points well, even though he really should have won this match. If he just hit a slightly more, aggressive backhand, but not that crazy, and then the next shot after that, once he's built out the rally, then go for it, then he probably would have had another championship point, and then that would have been on his serve. And that's really a point that he should have won at 5-3, 30 all as well. But yeah, unfortunately for Fokina, after being up 5-3, 30-15, after being up 5-2, 15-40, or 40-15, however you want to say it, it was just Fokina, just all the energy he put in, he just started missing easy forehand errors, just tired, on fumes, not moving as well. And also later in the set, a crucial second serve return at 15-30, once again flirting with the match point. It's 89 miles per hour, and he just takes so much pace off of it for no reason, hits it in the net. It's just unforgivable. And that's why at the end of the day, even though it's a very sad loss for Fokina, it's a deserved victory for Kecmanovic, because Fokina just didn't do what he needed to do, even though he had his first ATP title right in his hands. But it's tough, and the sport is just unforgiving. And that's why tennis is a torturous sport at times. Fokina just missing easy shots, unable to hang around in long rallies, just falls off the rails. Kecmanovic full of steam. You see it on the first shot of the last game. He gets this incredible get and hits this blazing forehand down the line from when it looked like he wasn't even going to reach the ball, like a drop shot near the net. And I think it was a drop volley near the net. And Yeah, I mean, Kecmanovic is full of steam, and Fokina out of gas. So Fokina just loses the adrenaline, loses the aggression, and it was that shot at or that moment at 15:45 that really defined the match. So unfortunate for Fokina at the end of the day. Also just not making enough first serves in, not clutch when it mattered the most. I hope Fokina gets another chance. Once again, I think he's too good and talented to not win an ATP title, and I hope he can take a learning lesson from this, but definitely his mental game is not as strong. And I felt like Kecmanovic saw that it was an opportunity. He also doesn't have a great finals record. He's won, this was his first hardcourt title, period. This was his first title, second title overall, his first title in almost 5 years. So Kecmanovic saw an opportunity. This was an opportunity to win another title, and he fought back and he took it. So yeah, that was the week in ATP this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Please don't forget to subscribe to Quality Shot Tennis. Please don't forget to check out the other new Tennis Era podcasts. There will be more coming. I'll be covering the Sunshine Double. I'll see you guys at the next one.